Deep beneath Mexico's Yucatán Peninsula, water once fell from the roof of a cave, one drop at a time. Each drop left mineral. Each year added a layer. Over centuries, those layers grew into a column of stone, a stalagmite. In 2025, scientists announced what its chemistry had preserved. Between the years 871 and 1021, the wet season failed again and again. 8 droughts lasted at least 3 years. The longest lasted 13. 13 years without a dependable rainy season, in a world where one failed crop could mean hunger. Across the Maya world, rulers stopped carving dates into monuments. Buildings slowed. Great plazas emptied. It sounds like the solution to a 1,000-year mystery. The rain failed, and the Maya civilization died. But that answer breaks almost immediately. Some Maya cities had begun to collapse before the longest drought. Others survived it, and the Maya themselves never disappeared. So what did the stone really record? The cause of a collapse, or the final pressure on a world already coming apart? To understand the danger, forget the image of a single Maya empire. There was no one empire to fall. The Maya world was a landscape of rival kingdoms, cities linked by trade, marriage, diplomacy, and war. Many great lowland cities stood on porous limestone, where rain vanished into the ground and months could pass with little water from the sky. So, the Maya engineered the rain. Plazas were shaped to catch runoff. Channels carried it into enormous reservoirs. At Tikal, one reservoir held roughly 58 million liters. Its water passed through sand and zeolite, a natural mineral filter brought from about 30 kilometers away. It is the oldest known zeolite water purification system in the Western Hemisphere. This civilization had managed seasonal drought for centuries, but the system required labor, maintenance, and political order. At Tikal, rulers associated themselves with providing clean water. When reservoirs failed, it was not only an engineering crisis, it was a crisis of power. And that power had always been contested. Maya monuments do not describe a peaceful world of astronomers staring at the stars. They record captives, invasions, defeated kings, and cities forced into submission. In 697, an inscription recorded the burning of a city called Bahlam Jol, today known as Vitzna. Then scientists took a sediment core from the lake beside the ruins. In the layer corresponding to the attack, they found an enormous spike of charcoal. Excavations found burned buildings across the city. Human activity fell sharply afterward. The words in stone and the ash in the lake told the same story. This was not a ritual raid. A city had been devastated. This happened long before the 13-year drought. The Maya world was not stable until the sky suddenly turned against it. Kingdoms were already fighting, breaking alliances and consuming resources in wars that could empty a city before the reservoirs did. Then the climate changed the rules. Climate records suggest that between 700 and 800, the timing of the rain became less predictable. That can be as dangerous as receiving less rain. Mistime the planting and the maize fails. Later, the cave record from northwest Yucatán captures the crisis year by year. 8 wet season droughts of at least 3 years between 871 and 1021. One of them 13 years long. A reservoir can carry a city through one bad season. Repeated drought is different. Reservoir levels fall. Harvests shrink. Families leave. The labor needed to repair reservoirs and raise monuments disappears. The machine does not break in one dramatic moment. It loses one essential part at a time. And at one of the most powerful cities in the Maya world. The water that remained may have become dangerous. At Tikal, researchers examined sediment from the reservoirs that supplied the city's ceremonial center. In two of the main reservoirs, they found evidence of toxic blue-green algal blooms near the end of the city's occupation. As drought set in, the water would have become warmer, shallower, and more stagnant, ideal conditions for the algae to spread. The toxins cannot be made safe simply by boiling the water. The same reservoirs also contained mercury pollution, probably washed down from cinnabar pigment used in elite buildings and burials. This does not explain every Maya city or even Tikal by itself, but it shows how climate pressure could turn a brilliant system into a trap. Reservoirs still held water, yet some may no longer have been safe. A drought does not have to kill a city directly. It can make every existing weakness more dangerous. But now comes the clue that ruins every simple version of this story. While many great southern cities were losing people and dynasties, centers in the north were still growing. Chichen Itza rose to become the dominant power of the northern lowlands during the very period usually called the Maya collapse. Even within the new cave record, political activity did not stop everywhere at once. At different sites, carved dates and monument building ended at different moments during the centuries of climate stress. The same sky, different endings, geography, water, trade, alliances, and political decisions mattered. Some communities moved, some cities reorganized, some rulers held their systems together longer. If drought alone were the executioner, the victims should have fallen together. They did not. The rain was a pressure. Warfare, inequality, brittle institutions, and human choices determined where that pressure opened a crack and whether the crack could be repaired. There was no single last day of the Maya. Imagine the collapse as a cascade. A poor harvest weakens a royal court. It cannot reward allies or maintain reservoirs. A rival attacks. Farmers retreat. Trade shifts. The next drought reaches a city already weaker. Then the public language of kingship begins to vanish. Fewer monuments, fewer royal dates, unfinished buildings. Palaces abandoned while ordinary communities continue elsewhere. Between roughly 800 and 1000, many dynasties of the classic Maya lowlands ended. Major urban populations declined, and political power shifted northward and toward the coasts. The forest eventually covered plazas that had once held thousands of people. To later outsiders, it looked as though an entire civilization had disappeared. But the empty stones created a myth more dramatic than the truth. The Maya collapse was real, but the phrase can also deceive. What collapsed in many regions was a political order, particular royal dynasties, monumental city centers, systems of tribute, and the authority that held them together. Maya families moved, adapted, and built new communities. Northern states continued. Trade continued. Maya languages, knowledge, and identities survived. They survived later wars and the Spanish conquest. Millions of Maya people live across Mexico and Central America today. The stone in the cave did not record the death of a people. It recorded years when the rain became a test, and when different societies answered that test in different ways. Some broke, some changed, some endured. That is the lesson of the Maya collapse. A civilization rarely ends through one disaster. It ends when pressure reaches water, food, trust, and political order, and those systems can no longer bend. For 13 years, the layers of stone remembered the missing rain. The Maya remembered how to continue. If you want to walk through more lost worlds and discover what really survived them, subscribe. I'll see you in the next story.